vis-a-vis the government failure. Government in fact fails for the very same reason the market fails. And we are essentially trying to build up a legislative structure where we minimize both failures, regulatory failure, market failure, as well as government stroke regulatory failure. This commission does not recommend something very exotic, very complicated. It only tells motherhood statements that follow certain principles in whatever you do. Like the Constitution of India says that don't take away right of a person without following the due process of law. FSLRC has reiterated that when you take an enforcement action, please ensure that the party being condemned is heard, or the party interested person having bias should not dispose of the matter. So nothing new, nothing different FSLRC has told. It is only bringing certain governance principles to the space of financial market. Let me illustrate this with a few applications of what FSLRC has recommended. As all of you know, I would give an example. A swimmer enjoys swimming only if he knows how to swim. He has full knowledge of the water. There are no hidden sharks in the water and water is not turbulent. And there are life-saving devices to rescue him if he gets into problem. That means an investor is confident to swim in a swimming pool which is a regulated environment. He does not have stamina to swim in the ocean. Similar is the case of a financial consumer or investor. Investor enjoys investing if he knows how to invest. He has full knowledge about the product, participants, the regulations, and in fact there is no obligation on market participant to disclose all that is relevant for making informed decision. There are also arrangements to ensure that fit and proper persons operate in the market. There are arrangements to penalize the miscreants, and there are arrangements to rescue an investor or consumer if he gets into the problem. That means an investor would like to invest or participate in a market if it is a regulated environment. Regulated environment ensures these four things. But unfortunately, occasionally, investor, he gets into unregulated market and gets a shock of her life and never even dares to come back to regulated market. I will give some examples to illustrate it. The unregulated market has been the bane of our extant regulatory structure. So it has happened on account of two main reasons: the way we have allocated regulatory jurisdiction among the regulators and the way we have defined various items in our law. In the financial market, we have a maze of regulators, dozens of regulators. We have IRDA, FMC, PFRDA, SEBI, RBI, and to complicate the things further, in each area, let's say securities market, we have regulators, Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, RBI, every one of them has some say in the matter. We have sectoral regulators, we have general regulators, we have sub-regulators like National Housing Bank, we have statutory regulators, we have self-regulatory organizations, we have industry bodies. So there is in fact a maze of regulators, and each of them has a defined set of jurisdiction over a defined set of elements. By elements I mean such as activities or entities, products. That means whatever, with the best of the intentions, whatever way you try to allocate these elements, there would still remain some elements outside the regulatory jurisdiction of any regulator. It's because it's not possible to exhaustively list out all the elements, or it's possible that new elements would emerge in the future. Take the example of plantation schemes, Golden Forest you all have heard of. It happened in 90s and no regulator dared to, no regulator agreed that it was within his jurisdiction. Only when it reached a sort of scam and parliament intervention came, it was included, SEBI was asked to start regulating, and a law came in 1999 to define collective investment scheme. And look at the way how it was defined. It was defined that it is a scheme sponsored by a company having the following features. People came up with structures which is not a company even though it had all the features. Look at the definition of securities. We have defined security to mean A, B, C, D, and people come up with products which does not fit into any of these descriptions. We keep on fighting up to Supreme Court what is partially, fully convertible debentures. So we do not know the way we have defined these things. Ultimately what we have done is, law has described, law defines various elements such as cheat funds, CIS in a particular manner and has assigned these matters to different regulators. If an element existing or emerging does not fit into any of those descriptions, it remains outside the regulatory jurisdiction. For example, somebody comes up with a scheme which is not a fixed deposit, which is not an insurance scheme, which is not pension, which is not a cheat fund, which is not even a collective investment scheme, NBFC, mutual fund, or Nidhi company. That means if somebody can come up with a product which does not fit to any of the descriptions, it remains outside the regulatory jurisdiction of any regulator. So this has been taking advantage of this kind of regulatory jurisdictions we have created. We have these schemes, Ponzi schemes, time-share schemes, gold purchase schemes, emu farming, goat farming, multi-level marketing schemes, real estate development plans, and all that. Certainly all of us, we do not like this kind of arrangement. And only recently the Securities Laws Amendment Act 2014, which came on 22nd September 2014, attempts to address this kind of problem. And this is in fact precursor to Indian Financial Code. It says that any pooling of resources which is not an insurance scheme, pension scheme, cheat fund, or NBFC, mutual fund, Nidhi company, whatever way it is not within the regulatory jurisdiction of any regulator, it is deemed to be collective investment scheme and it must be regulated by SEBI. So it is trying to define securities also different way. It does not say that ABC. It may include ABC, but it says that something transferable financial interest. Compare this with the definition of theft. Theft was defined in 1860, 150 years back, and that serves the purpose well even today, and it may serve another 100 years. Theft definition has not yet been amended. See the kind of perfection of definition of theft at that time. So essentially, this commission is proposing that get into principle-based regulation. Get into way of, don't create so many regulators for the same kind of products. We have the examples. One regulator, as Justice told, regulators have the role of developing the market. One regulator develops the market by making advertisement that please come and invest in this product or participate in this product. Another regulator develops the market by saying that I have laid down a good framework, it is comfortable for you, now you can come and participate in the market. These are essentially the issues this commission has tried to address. The second aspect I would talk about, which was also talked in the first session, was the regulations. All of us have kind of love and hate relationship with regulations. We like regulations particularly after the context of NSCL matter, or we like regulations because somebody wants to list on a better regulated exchange. We like regulations, say we removed the ban on options in 1995, but we never got the derivative market until we came up with regulation. And again, BSE happened to be the first exchange to start derivatives on 9th June 2000. Any time if there's any crisis, 2008 crisis or any crisis or even Sardar or all those things, we say that what was the regulator doing? Why didn't the regulator do this kind of regulations? But when the crisis is over, we come to a situation and say that regulations are excessive, unwarranted, and it is stifling business, it is coming on the edge of doing business. So we have not yet been able to figure out what is the appropriate level of regulations. Essentially, this is what FSL is trying to address. It is saying that have the regulation only if you have the probability of or evidence or likelihood of market failure, and have regulation as much as required, and have regulation in consultation with the stakeholders by following a certain procedure. I'll give you one, two examples from the last SEBI board meeting, how this has made a difference, how consultation process, even though it does not carry the traditional cost-benefit analysis which FSLRC has recommended, made a difference in the law making recently. One is a very immediate interest to the profession of company secretaries. That is, the SEBI has now moved from listing agreement to listing regulation. And look at the process they followed. 1 year it was in the public domain for consultation. They had rounds and rounds of consultation with stakeholders, and in fact, I attended some of the consultation. They consulted the company secretaries. So ultimately, they have come out with a robust regulation. In particular, when they made the proposal, that did not talk about the compliance thing. But when the final output came out, SEBI has approved it. It says that it is mandatory for listed companies to have company secretaries as compliance officers. Take another example, insider trading. It again went through a long process. There is a Justice Sodhi committee. Now they are saying that have that much regulation as much as required, like a good medicine. Don't administer a medicine which has many side effects. You want to prevent undue benefit from insider information. Prevent only that much, not beyond that. For example, earlier we came on the way of somebody was dealing in securities like dematerialization. Somebody is seeking dematerialization of securities. We consider this is dealing in securities, and if he does during ban period, we charge him for insider trading. While we welcome dematerialization is something socially desirable, we want to promote it. So only now we have been able to distinguish between insider trading and insider dealing. And the law says that now deal with only trading part, prevent misuse or undue benefit from inside information, don't go beyond that. Similar is case of a lot of things are made about the governance within the regulatory organizations. All of us talk about governance in companies, governance in government. We have a Companies Act to deal with governance of companies. We have Constitution to deal with governance of government. But we do not have that something specific for regulatory agencies. It has been created. It's a very powerful instrument. We have legislative, executive, judicial powers all rolled under one. In fact, it may be possible. Today, some regulator feels that sitting in the front row is bad. So we'll come out with a regulation and say that you can't sit in the front row. And tomorrow we'll issue a show cause notice saying that you are sitting in the front row, it is bad. That is what this commission is trying to address. It is essential saying that if you want to condemn somebody, hear him and let it be heard by a third person, administrative law judge, following an adversarial system. This is what in SEBI we used to say that let's have a system where we do not delay the justice. Justice delayed is justice denied. But also balance it with justice hurried is justice buried. So try to maintain balance. FSLRC is all talking about balance, talking about modern statements, nothing exotic, complicated, it's not discretionary. Thank you.